Hi guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is called Letters to Blue. These are emails that I've gotten from my viewers, and they have quite a few questions on them, and some of them have an interesting little backstory, so I decided to go ahead and do a whole episode dedicated to these letters. Now, I'm going to try to do this on a consistent basis, so maybe like once a month, I'll share an interesting letter in this special segment video. So a special thank you to everybody that I'm reading their email. Thank you for taking the time to email me, sharing your story, or asking your questions, because you never know if your questions may help somebody else. All right, so I think a lot of times as adults, we don't quite know exactly like how to ask questions, and maybe somebody else asking a question can inspire us with our own questions. So if you have any questions, let me know. I will leave my email address down in the description box below, so feel free to send me an email or a comment below. All right, so let's get started. All right, letter number 1. Hello, Blue. I subscribe to your YouTube channel, and I am a fan of yours. Thank you. I am currently taking online courses with AAPC and have an exam scheduled for December for my CPC exam. I need your help and direction. I am new to the industry, but I have been really focused in learning. My question is, once I pass my exam, are there certain types of specialty clinics or specialty doctors that I should look into first? Is there such a thing as most coders start out as certain types of clinics? So I'm going to stop the email right here. I say this. Don't look at a certain specialty. Don't think of it as, well, I got to look for this kind of specialty or this kind of specialty. You go in where you fit in, okay? Anywhere that you can get a job as a brand new coder is where you want to start out at. So it is very difficult in the beginning. I have said this on many videos. Unfortunately, this is the fact of life for all medical coders in the beginning, that it's hard to get a job. So wherever you can find a job is where you need to get in. Even if it is in something that is very difficult or whatever, if they are willing to train you or take on brand new coders, then that's where you have to be. So don't look at it like I need to concentrate on getting into this specialty or that specialty. It really is just getting in and just diving in, because it doesn't really matter like what specialty you end up getting in. You know how to code. That is where you're going to be starting, is the coding part. Now it's just a specialty, right? And so wherever you land, that certain particular specialty, say for instance, you get hired in an orthopedic clinic, and yes, I'm going to use orthopedics because that's my favorite, orthopedics and podiatry. If you land in one of those clinics, then you need to look for a lot of resources to help you to better understand what is actually happening in that clinic. I say that it's very important to know the procedures that's actually happening and common diagnoses that place is treating. So that way you can fully understand when you're reading the documentation, it's not going to be so confusing for you. It's not going to be so overwhelming. You're going to know what the symptoms are. You're going to know what the definitive diagnoses look like and things like that. So that is where I would suggest that you sort of keep your focus, okay? And continuing on, is there such a thing as a particular field like cardiology coders that is the highest paid, but yet easier compared to others? I hope you understand what I'm trying to get to. So here's the thing. When it comes to starting off as a medical coder, you don't need to look at the money. You don't need to worry about, oh, well, I want to only start in this clinic because it's the highest paying, or I want to start in this clinic because it's easier, or I want to start in this clinic because of this reason or whatever. You get in where you can get in, okay? And then you can worry about everything else later. Medical coders do get paid well, and you can look at the Department of Labor or the Bureau of Statistics. I did it. You can look at the Bureau of Statistics and find out what medical coders start out in your area. You have to remember something else too. Pay is going to be factored by a bunch of different things. Experience being number one, all right? Location is another one. Complexity of that clinic is another. And if you are brand new, this is going to be your time that you really have to dig in and start learning, and learning fast. Because if you're not learning fast, you're not going to have that good paying job for very long, right? So you really have to apply yourself. If you want to go into a cardiology clinic because you like the heart, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to start understanding all of this stuff in medical coding. Because believe me, when you get into the real world of medical coding, book coding and real world coding is two different things. When you start listening to those doctors and their colloquialisms, oh yeah, you're really going to understand what I'm talking about then. But don't look at it like, oh, if I go into this, it's going to pay me more. Or if I go into this, it's going to pay me more. You're a brand new medical coder. You need to worry about getting your foot in the door. That's where you need to keep your focus, because the money will be there, but you just need to focus on getting in. Okay. And that's anywhere. So if you have to start out in the ER, because the ER is one of the most popular places that I have seen that are looking for coders all the time. Because think about it. If you work in the ER, that's a certain set on the evaluation and management. And then you have to think about, well, that's all kinds of different procedures, because, you know, you're thinking of IV treatments and things like that, or IV hydration and things like that. So you have to be looking at those things. You have to be like, you have to have a good background in injury coding, because the ER sees a lot of injuries. Think about it. They see a lot of cardiac patients as well. You know, you get somebody in there who's having a heart attack. You got to be able to code that out. Stroke patients, that's another one. They get them in there, get them stable, get them where they need to go. So being in the ER is a really good like boot camp for brand new coders, because if you can survive in the ER, if you can survive coding the ER, you are ready for anything. Think about this. You can go to cardio, you can go to ortho, you can go to podiatry, you can go to gastro, you can go anywhere if you've had experience in the ER. Now, that is just something to think about, okay? Because the ER has got a lot going on. But yes, think of it like that, all right? And don't focus on the money, because the money will be there, okay? Next part of this email. Do you instead recommend something easier since I'm new to this? Or would you suggest, because I understand like gynecology and oncology are very difficult, I'm not sure if there's a video regarding these types of questions. Any response would be great. Love your giggle throughout the videos. Thank you. Well, thank you. The thing is this also. A lot of people will ask me, Blue, what is the most easiest clinic I can start out as a medical coder? Do not start out like that, okay? If you start out, oh, I just want to get my feet wet and I want to just start and I really want to be confident. No, you are only going to be keeping yourself from learning. Don't get complacent with the easy stuff, because trust me, somebody's already covering the easy stuff. And that's usually going to be somebody that's been there for a while, all right? You want to get in and get the most challenging. You want to be in the clinic that nobody wants. You know why? Because then it's going to be your show. You're going to be able to ask questions. You're going to be able to look into the documentation. You're going to be able to work with those providers, if that is the standard at your facility, is being able to work with them. Now, relax. Before you say anything like, oh, Blue, but I'm brand new. How can I work with... Okay. Sometimes facilities have somebody that talks to the providers, and sometimes they don't. I'm just saying this so you guys can be prepared. But be ready and don't be afraid to do the most complicated, right? Because I will tell you guys this. When I went to my second position, right? And they told me that, are you interested in doing prophy coding? And I'm like, sure, whatever. And they were like, well, we know you only have three months of experience, but are you sure you want to try to do this? Because nobody wants to do it. Everybody hates this. Are you sure? Because we need somebody that will embrace this. And I'm like, I don't know to be scared. So bring it on. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it, you know, because I was very gung-ho and I wanted to make sure that I was learning everything that I possibly could. Because if you learn the hard stuff in the beginning, the rest of the stuff is going to be so much easier for you to get through. And a lot of times I see coders where they get complacent and then they have that fear come over them. Well, I can't really do that clinic because I don't know that clinic. When you are trained to be a medical coder, you should be able to be dropped into any clinic And within a couple of days or a few days, you should be able to be picking it up quickly because you know the fundamental basics of how to code. So you need to go back on all of that time and all of that training and bring it with you and be ready and be prepared. Because the more willing you are to take on these difficult clinics, the better it is going to be for you. Why? You're going to be that high caliber coder that people are going to be looking for. So embrace the challenge and don't think of something as, oh gosh, that one's too hard, or oh gosh, that one's too hard. Take the time and learn it, guys. Read everything you can and go to their specialty websites so that you can learn more about that particular specialty. That's my advice on that one. All right. Next email. Hi, Blue. I just found your YouTube while trying to do the best research before delving into the world of a coder. I was looking at AAPC, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are about that. Is it possible to learn and prepare for a certification without taking their educational courses? I've watched a few of your videos and a few others I've found, and I know you address this. I'm just getting overwhelmed and want to make the best plan of action towards achieving my CPC. Thank you so much for sharing all of your experiences. Well, here's the thing. If you want to learn on your own, that's a tall order. It is not impossible, but it is a very tall order. So I do have a video about what to study independently to become a medical coder. I will leave it down in the description box below. That way, if you want to check it out, you can look into doing that. It is a challenge. It's not impossible. There are people that have done it. All right. So it's going to take you getting the right books and getting the practice books. And there's plenty of practice books like workbooks and things like that. I am going to leave a link for a book that I do recommend that it does have the answers in it as well. So you can do practice, and it's just a basic practice book. And it's a 2019 version. You can still use 2019 to like practice on, like in the workbooks, and it's the year 2020. But I mean, there wasn't too much changes, but just keep in mind that some of your answers may not match if the code was updated, and you'll be able to know if the code was updated because the book will be able to tell you if it was updated or not. So that is just something to keep in mind. Like I said, it is possible, and you don't really know when you're going to like these trade schools or when you're learning online, you know, what kind of quality of education that you're going to get anyway. So if you want to go at it alone, by all means, go ahead. And like I said, check out that video, and I talk about all the books that you need. So that's my answer on that one. Next email. Hi, Blue. Thanks again for your videos and helpful tips. I don't know if this is a silly question, but I know coding is a lot of reading, which I do love to read, on the computer. I know repetitive reading on a computer screen can give me a headache. Do coders ever print out what they need to read so they are not constantly staring at the screen for hours on end and making their eyes hurt? So what I do is I tend to look away every few minutes, sometimes every 5 or 10 minutes or so, sometimes every 10 minutes, I'll look away. And I'll move my eyes so that I'm not just staring at the screen, okay? And there's also those kind of filters and things like that that you can use. There's all sorts of filters that you can use. But yeah, it's just like walking around. You know, sometimes if you're sitting all day, you know, you may feel like uncomfortable after a while, so you have to get up and things like that. It's the same thing with your eyes. You just have to move them around every once in a while. You can be reading, and then you can move your head and just, you know, just sort of look away and look up, look down, so that way you can give your eyes a rest. If you are a contact lens wearer, okay, and I will say this. Now, I do wear contacts most of the time. Although, however, y'all have been seeing me in my glasses, and this is really kicked off when the pandemic hit because they said don't touch your eyes, so I haven't been, and I've been, you know, using my glasses, which is fine. And I mean, I haven't worn glasses like continually in a long time, but I'm okay with it now. And they actually are a little bit more comfortable than wearing my contacts when I'm working. So that did help me. But then I have to use like different kinds of eye drops and things like that. I use different kinds of cleansers for my my contacts. So I use the ones that, you know, keep the moisture in. So that would help. But yeah, if you wear contacts, I know from personal experience that your eyes can dry out if you are just staying in one place and you're just staring. Make sure that you move your eyes around, and it will help with the eye fatigue. Okay. And the other part of that is also I'm studying medical terminology and now the musculoskeletal system. I just remembered how hard the system was when I learned it a long time ago. Haha. Any tips on learning this particular system? Speaking to my heart, the musculoskeletal system. Well, when it comes to the musculoskeletal system, the thing that I recommend is this: breaking it up into the sections, okay? You have your hand bones, you have your feet bones, and there's a lot of bones in both of these, all right? And then you can work on your limbs, and then you can work on your ribs, and then you can work on everything else, all right? So just take it one step at a time. The bones of the head, the arms, and then the hands and the feet. So you can just break it down into sections like that. Don't try to take the whole thing all at one time, all right? Because that's not going to work, right? But yes, just make sure that you're just breaking things down. The better it is when you're breaking stuff down into more manageable sections, the more it will sink in better. That's just my advice on that one. And plus, there's a lot of really cute rap videos, if you want to call them rap videos, on YouTube for people talking about anatomy, and they make it like a little rap. I'm not going to leave one because I didn't find one that I really liked, but they are out there. So, you know, if you're interested in that, you can always check that out. All right. So, next email. Hi, Blue. Yesterday, I watched another video of yours on schooling, tests, and colleges, etc. I believe you said a degree isn't needed to land a coding position. No, it's not. But of course, you will need to study and take and pass the exam. Would you recommend for someone like me with no coding knowledge to get an associate's, or do you think studying at home would do just the same? So the only reason that you should get an associate's is if you want to be in a manager type position. RHITs, or the associate degree holders, are typically your managers, your supervisors. They do some of the tasks that they can do is like auditing. Because the associates, you know, that's really kind of what they're trained on, and they do a lot of the educating and things like that. So if that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do, because it's a lot of money to get an associate's degree. And so if you just want to be on the coding side, if you just want to do coding, it's totally fine. I would recommend going to the online program on AHIMA.org, or if you're wanting to go with AAPC, go to AAPC.com, and they have their online medical coding programs. AHIMA's allows you to have 1 year from the time that you pay to finish and complete the program. With AAPC, it's a little bit shorter, and so I would recommend checking out that website. But AAPC has sales all the time. They are really good for their sales, all right? And AHIMA, like they have a lot of really good program. Their program is really good, so that would be the only one that I could recommend because I am with them. I'm with AHIMA, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, their program is a little over 3,000. So is AAPC. So to me, it's a better deal than spending thousands of dollars. I'm just saying, for something that you're not even sure that you're going to like. Okay. Because believe it or not, not everybody who studies this likes it. I'm just saying. And moving on. Oh, and then he talks about the two colleges I called average 20 to 26,000 for the completed course. There you go. One was online, and then the other one is north of where he lives. So I will continue to watch your videos, but is there any recommendations, since you have done this a long time now, for people such as myself? That would be my recommendation. Start out with a credential and go from there, and then invest in a degree program if that's what you want to do. Because a lot of times people get these degrees and they don't really understand or know what having these degrees all entails. What are they going to be doing with these degrees? And it's not just about being a coder. These people are also in positions of management because that is what they're trained for. That is what the RHIT and the RHIAs are designed for. Okay, so that's just my advice. And then the last email, let's see if I can squeeze this one out. Okay. Hello, Blue. I hope all is well with you this wonderful Sunday evening. I am a subscriber to your YouTube channel since the spring or early summer, and I have enjoyed all of the videos that I have watched. Due to recent assignments that have ended in March due to Corona, and another because it was at the end of a 3-month contract, I have been out of work, and I recently accepted an assignment that I thought was a temp to perm, but I found out that we were working on backlog. I have recently had a wonderful blessing with 4 interviews for permanent positions and even a compliance auditor position, and I blew all of them. I know that a lot of it has to do with my communication skills during the interview, coding questions that were asked and I did not know, and a coding test that was 3 hours long that I missed by 4%. I can always land a lot of contract positions, but cannot seem to land a permanent position. I'm scared, nervous, and embarrassed. At this point in my career, I'm not sure what is happening to me or if I will ever be accepted somewhere permanently. I need help and I don't know what else to do. Moving forward to apply for future coding positions, what can I do better? How can I build my confidence after this huge defeat in my career? It's not a huge defeat. It is just what happens when we let our nerves get the best of us. And I think that that is what is the situation here. Clearly, you have had experience. And when you have experience, a lot of times it's really easy to sort of get complacent in that, oh, well, I know what I'm doing. But then when we are challenged with different sort of specialties and things like that, it could throw us, right? That's why it's important to always keep a broad range of specialty knowledge, to know a little bit about cardio, know a little bit about ortho, know a little bit about podiatry, know a little bit about rheumatology and gastro and, all internal medicine, all of these different specialties, peds, mom and baby. If you can keep your knowledge base broad, when you get a test like these, it's not going to be as hard for you. Now, like I said, I think in this situation, it was just a little bit more nerves than anything else. And don't try to think of it as it's such a huge defeat, because it's just something that happens and you just have to keep going. Clearly, you have had experience. You've done this since 2006. So there's plenty of time, but always trying to keep your skills sharp as a medical coder is really huge, especially when you've had as long as experience as you've had. I learned this, okay? Because just when you think, I know a good amount, there is something that comes up that you've got to learn. So this is a good way to say, okay, I just got to go back to the grindstone and I got to study a little bit more. Go find those practice workbooks. There's a lot of practice workbooks for medical coding, and just take a practice with it. And that way you can get more confident. Try not to rush when you're taking these assessment tests. Take them very seriously, because that's going to be the difference between being called back and not being called back. Now, I feel like this viewer is going to do very well because they're going to keep trying. Clearly, they're applying everywhere. So just keep applying everywhere and keep trying just to get in, and make sure that you're working on bettering yourself as a medical coder. Because even though you've had lots of experience, it doesn't mean that you can't get even more experience, because this is a constant learning experience. And when you are sort of staying in the same thing all the time, it is a good wake-up call to start looking at other different specialties, other settings, the ER and things like that. That way you can start looking at different things and you can be more well-rounded, and that you could put on your resume. I'm just saying. So that was my emails for this episode. So pretty cool, huh? Thank you all for joining me. If you have an email that you would like to send, shoot me an email. I will leave my email address down in the description box below. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.